As we delve into the historical records, a journey through time takes us back to the pages of the scriptures, where the whisper of ancient divinities' names still echoes. Among these beings of power and mystery, Baal stands out, a deity revered in the ancient Canaanite kingdoms, symbolizing fertility and storm. Just imagine, his influence was such that the mere sound of his name carried with it the distant rumble of thunder and the promise of rains that could both bless and devastate the lands. The biblical narrative gifts us with a memorable episode when the prophet Elijah, facing a sea of indecisive faces, issues a challenge that resonates through the ages. How long will you waver between two opinions? The scene on Mount Carmel is not just a physical confrontation, but an epic battle of faith. And it doesn't stop there. Asherah, known as the goddess of fertility and consort of the gods, subtly infiltrates the practices of the people of Israel. Like a vine spreading secretly, her worship threatens to suffocate the purity of faith. The divine mandate to destroy her altars is a war cry against spiritual complacency, a reminder of the cost of true devotion. Then there's Dagon, the Philistine god of harvest, who presents a story of defeat and humiliation. Just imagine the Ark of the Covenant, the ultimate symbol of divine presence, placed in his temple only to witness its fall before the uncontestable power of the God of Israel. This narrative is not merely a record of ancient events, but a window into the eternal struggle between the light of true faith and the shadows of idolatry. As we revisit these accounts, we're not just exploring chapters of a distant history, we're embarking on a journey of reflection on the meaning of faith in our lives. Each story, each confrontation serves as a mirror to our own choices and beliefs. In this journey through the past, I invite you to be captivated by the richness of these traditions, to marvel at the resilience of true faith, and to ponder the impact of ancestral beliefs on our daily walk. May this journey through time awaken in each of us an insatiable curiosity and a profound desire to seek a more genuine and personal understanding of the divine. At dawn, the Philistines were confronted with a scene that defied reality. Dagon, their revered deity, lay prostrate before the Ark of the Lord, a potent symbol of divine supremacy. This image, captured in the scriptures of 1 Samuel 5:4, is not just a record of a miraculous event. It is a tangible manifestation of power that transcends known human and divine limits, a vivid reminder of the unmatched magnitude of the Lord. Among these shadowy entities, Moloch emerges as a particularly sinister figure. Associated with the dreadful act of child sacrifice, his worship is a cry against the essence of life and innocence. The severity with which the scriptures condemn such practices, as expressed in Leviticus 18:21, underscores the abomination it represented, marking a definitive boundary between the sacred and the profane. Astarte, on the other hand, embodies the dangerous allure of foreign deities. Her influence over King Solomon, a man of unparalleled wisdom, is a testimony to the powerful attraction of idolatry and immorality. The narrative of 1 Kings 11:5 reveals how even the wisest can be led astray, highlighting the constant struggle against temptations that threaten to erode our faith and integrity. Chemosh, the Moabite deity of war and conquest, brings forth the relentless reality of conflicts and territorial aspirations of the time. Its mention challenges Israel, and yes, modern readers, to reflect on what truly constitutes divine possession and power. Focusing on Dagon or Dagon, this ancient Mesopotamian god is a figure of prominent veneration, especially among the Philistines. His worship, dating back to 3000 BC, reveals the complexity of ancient religious practices and the depth of spirituality that defined these cultures. While the sacred scriptures offer only glimpses of these rituals, Historical and cultural research has unveiled layers of this devotional practice, giving us a sense of how Dagon and other deities formed the fabric of spiritual life in antiquity. In this dive into ancestral beliefs, we invite you to reflect on the intersection of faith, power, and morality. Each deity, each story challenges us to consider our own values and beliefs. By exploring these ancient cults and practices, we are prompted to seek a deeper understanding of the divine and the human, and how faith can be both a beacon of hope and a mirror of our own internal and external struggles. May this journey through the past not only illuminate the shadows of history, but also shed light on the paths we choose to follow today. The figure of Dagon, with its hybrid imprint of human and fish, takes us to a world where the divine and the earthly intertwine in ways that challenge our modern understanding. This iconic representation, found in the arts and writings of the Near East, is not a product of biblical imagination, but rather a legacy of ancient practices and beliefs that endure in the ruins and relics left behind by forgotten civilizations. This glimpse of Dagon, as a being who reigns over both land and sea, is a testimony to the complexity of ancient mythology and how ancient peoples sought to understand and influence the world around them. This conception of Dagon, serving simultaneously as a symbol of fertility, agricultural abundance, and the majesty of the sea, reflects the multifaceted relationship that the ancients had with the divine. Through this vision, we can begin to appreciate the richness and diversity of the ways in which the sacred was perceived and integrated into daily life. These worship practices, though now reaching us only as echoes of a time immemorial, highlight humanity's constant quest for connection, protection, and blessing from the forces they believed governed the cosmos. As we step into this ancient world, we are invited to reflect on the enduring human constants of faith and spirituality. The stories of Dagon and other deities offer us a window into understanding how worship and mythology shaped cultures over the centuries. At the same time, they challenge us to consider the ways in which our own beliefs and spiritual practices continue to influence contemporary society. This journey through ancient beliefs is not merely academic, it is an exploration of the human heart and mind. As we contemplate the representations of Dagon and the traces of religious practices that have stood the test of time, we are reminded of the incessant quest for meaning, purpose, and a deeper understanding of the divine. May the exploration of these ancient narratives enrich our understanding of the complexity of human faith and inspire a deeper appreciation for the richness of the spiritual traditions that weave the tapestry of human history. The tale of Samson, marked by superhuman feats and personal tragedies, is punctuated by the enigmatic presence of Dagon, a god who, for the Philistines, symbolized power and protection. At the peak of this narrative, we find Samson, the hero of unmatched strength, whose downfall is precipitated not by an army, but by the betrayal of love. Delilah, the Philistine woman whose beauty and cunning become Samson's ruin, unravels the secret of his supernatural strength. His hair, never before cut, a symbol of the divine pact of his consecration. When Samson is captured, after his strength is drained by the cutting of his hair, he is taken to the temple of Dagon, a setting that becomes the stage for the climax of his story. The temple, vibrant with Philistine celebration, echoes with praises to Dagon, to whom they attribute the capture of their adversary. The scene is laden with irony. While the Philistines glorify Dagon for Samson's downfall, they inadvertently set the stage for a final act of redemption and destruction. Samson, now blind and subdued, is placed between the temple's pillars, a symbol of his broken state. Yet it is at this point of complete vulnerability that he turns to God with a final plea for strength. This prayer, perhaps the most sincere of his life, seeks not personal vengeance, but divine justice against those who mocked not only him, but the God of Israel. The result is catastrophic for the Philistines. By pushing the pillars, Samson brings down the temple, taking his enemies with him in death. This posthumous victory, greater than all the conquests of his life, serves as a testament to the power of God, not only over the Philistines, but also over human failings. The episode in the Temple of Dagon reveals several layers of meaning. Firstly, it highlights the fallibility of idolatrous devotion. The Philistines, by attributing their victory to Dagon, failed to recognize the sovereignty of the God of Israel. Furthermore, Samson's story is a narrative of redemption and God's ability to use even the most desperate circumstances to manifest his glory. In the end, the story is not just about the defeat of the Philistines or Samson's revenge, but about the demonstration of divine power that transcends human frailties. This reflection on the saga of Samson and Dagon invites us to contemplate the complexity of the relationships between faith, destiny, and redemption. Through these ancient narratives, we are encouraged to seek a deeper understanding of how our own struggles and failures can be transformed into testimonies of faith and strength. May the story of Samson inspire us to recognize our own need for divine dependence, especially in moments of greatest vulnerability. The tale of Samson, culminating in his ultimate surrender to God, teaches us an eternal lesson about the true source of strength and victory. Samson's transformation from an impetuous warrior to a man who finds his greatest power in vulnerability is a powerful reminder that divine strength often reveals itself in our weakest moments. Through his humility and total dependence on God, Samson achieves what no mere act of physical strength could. An overwhelming victory that transcends his life, marking history not only as a heroic feat, but as a testimony to power perfected in weakness. The narrative moves on to an equally significant episode involving another symbol of God's presence among his people, the Ark of the Covenant. The story of the capture of the Ark by the Philistines in 1 Samuel 4 is a cautionary tale about corruption, misplaced trust, and the true nature of divine presence. The Israelites, led by morally bankrupt leaders, failed to realize that the Ark alone would not guarantee their victory. This decision reflects a shallow understanding of faith, where trust is placed in symbols rather than in the essence of the relationship with God. The defeat of the Israelites and the capture of the Ark by the Philistines not only highlight the people's serious disconnect from God, but also set the stage for an even more dramatic display of divine power. By placing the Ark in the Temple of Dagon, the Philistines believe they have secured a definitive victory over the God of Israel. However, Dagon's fall, first face down and then shattered, before the Ark is a physical representation of the supremacy of the God of Israel over pagan deities. This event not only humiliates Dagon, but also serves as an indelible testimony to the sovereignty and divine power, regardless of human perception of victory or defeat. Both stories, Samson's and that of the Ark of the Covenant, speak deeply to the human condition and our relationship with the divine. They remind us that true faith lies not in our ability to control or manipulate the sacred, but in our surrender and trust in God's will and power. Dagon's humiliation before the Ark is not just a victory over a rival deity. It is an affirmation that even in the most unfavorable circumstances, God's presence and purpose prevail. These biblical narratives, rich in symbolism and lessons of faith, challenge us to reflect on where we place our trust and how we understand our relationship with the divine. In moments of triumph and in times of defeat, we are called to recognize that God's presence transcends physical symbols and that His strength is fully manifested in our humility and dependence. May these ancient stories inspire in us a renewed faith and a deeper understanding of divine sovereignty, reminding us that in God's hands, our greatest weaknesses can become our most powerful sources of strength. The desolation of the Philistine priests as they witnessed the degradation of Dagon before the Ark of the Lord in Ashdod is an episode that reverberates through the ages, symbolizing the inevitable defeat of idols before the true divinity. The repeated fall and subsequent dismemberment of Dagon not only highlight the supremacy of the God of Israel, but also serve as a poignant reminder of the futility of idolatry. These events, which discouraged the faithful from entering the temple of Dagon, are a tangible manifestation of the divine message that no earthly power can compare to celestial power. Transposing this narrative to our contemporary era, we realize that although the forms of idolatry have evolved, the essence of this deviation remains unchanged. Modernity presents us with a new pantheon of idols, no longer stone statues, but concepts and desires that occupy the center of our lives, diverting us from the spiritual path. Money, perhaps the most prominent of these modern idols, exerts an almost hypnotic fascination, promising security, power, and freedom, while often delivering the opposite. This relentless pursuit of wealth can easily turn into a cycle of dissatisfaction, where material accumulation conceals a deep spiritual void. The biblical warning about the love of money remains as relevant today as it was centuries ago, a reminder that true wealth lies in our character and relationships, not in our possessions. Similarly, pleasure in its various forms has the potential to become an idol that leads us away from deeper values. Contemporary culture, with its emphasis on immediacy and sensory gratification, can lead us to an incessant pursuit of superficial satisfaction, forgetting the richness found in genuine connection with others and the divine. This moment of reflection invites each of us to consider the forces that guide our lives. What are the idols to which we dedicate our time, energy, and devotion? In our quest for security, pleasure, or recognition, are we neglecting eternal truths and the bonds that confer true meaning to our existence? The message is clear. Just as Dagon could not withstand the presence of the ark, no modern idol has the power to satisfy the depths of the human soul. Only by recognizing and rejecting these false gods can we open ourselves to a life of greater purpose and connection. May we find strength in faith and community, seeking values that transcend the material and that connect us to each other and to the divine, so that our lives reflect the true meaning and beauty that exist beyond the surface of our daily existence. The message of 2 Timothy 3:4 and Jesus' exhortation in Matthew 10:37 resonate with challenging clarity in a world that often idolizes pleasure and human relationships above divine devotion. This call to prioritize our love for God above all things is a reminder that while earthly joys and affectionate bonds are divine gifts, they should never usurp the supreme place that only God deserves in our lives. The warning against the idolatry of pleasure and the elevation of personal relationships above our relationship with God is a call to deep reflection on where our true commitments lie. True worship requires of us a discerning heart, capable of navigating the often turbulent waters of contemporary culture without losing sight of the divine compass that should guide our journey. Placing God at the center of our lives is not an easy task. It is a constant exercise of self-examination, repentance, and realignment of our priorities, values, and affections. It is recognizing that while we may deeply appreciate and love the people and things of this world, our ultimate loyalty and worship must be reserved for God, above all else and everyone else. The first commandment, "You shall have no other gods before me," is both a prohibition and a promise. It prohibits us from giving our ultimate loyalty to anything or anyone other than God. But it also promises that in God we find the fulfillment and ultimate satisfaction that the idols of this world promise but can never deliver. Living according to this commandment is a daily challenge, especially in a society that often values the tangible above the spiritual, the immediate above the eternal. The biblical conception of God as a spirit infinitely beyond our complete understanding is an invitation to humility and worship. The anthropomorphic language used in the Bible to describe God, his hands, eyes, and mouth, serves as metaphorical bridges that help us relate to him in ways our limited minds can understand. However, these descriptions should not lead us to trivialize the holiness, majesty, and transcendence of God. Worshipping the true God with reverence and fear is recognizing his absolute sovereignty, his incomparable holiness, and his immeasurable love. As we progress in our journey of faith, we are invited to grow in our knowledge and understanding of God, a process that will not end in this life but will continue for eternity. May we commit to worshiping God not only with our words and rituals, but with the totality of our lives, allowing his presence to transform every aspect of our being. May this true worship lead us to reject the modern idols that compete for our attention and affection, and to find our deepest joy and satisfaction in God, the only one worthy of our supreme love.